The Washington Spirit and Orlando Pride face off in the National Women's Soccer League Championship game in Kansas City. The league as a whole already with reason to celebrate, with NWSL attendance in 2024 surpassing 2 million for the first time. And it's not just women's soccer fans that are flocking to this season. This past spring, 18.9 million watched the NCAA Women's Basketball Championship. That's the highest rating ever in the sport and at any level or gender since 2019. The soaring demand for women's sports has opened doors beyond the playing field, giving birth to sports bars that prioritize women's competitions. We took a closer look at where this trend started and where it is headed next.
So we're downtown. We're actually only about 1.5 miles from CPKC Stadium right now, walking. Yeah. So
it may be an empty storefront now, but Monica Brady and Rachel Glenn see so much more.
Did you know as soon as you walked in this was the spot?
It felt right.
Yeah.
Yes.
The duo with a game plan to help level the playing field when it comes to women's sports in Kansas City.
We're going to have the bar right here against the brick wall, really showcasing the history of the space.
The near 2,000 square foot space, their site for the Dub, what will be the city's first women's sports bar, prioritizing women's games and matches on the screen.
Why the name, the Dub?
A lot of reasons. Honestly, in sports, you want to go get the W. You want to get the win. So it's short for win, short for women. You know, we're the hub for every dub. So
Yeah.
So give me a sense of what we're going to see on the screens when you guys are open.
We're going to be showing all the sports we can, you know, NWSL, WNBA. We want to look into, you know, college sports for sure. It's never that women haven't had the talent, they just haven't had the exposure. So let's be that place where we're giving them that.
Partners in business and life, Brady and Glenn are both passionate sports fans, but their inspiration for the Dub came from another, a woman 1,800 miles away in Portland, Oregon.
3, 2, 1.
2 years ago, in April of 2022, Jenny Wynn followed her gut in opening the Sports Bra, the first ever bar dedicated to women's sports.
The idea sparked in 2018, but it was just kind of this fantasy world that my friends and I joked about. But then in 2020, the pandemic happened, and it just turned everything upside down. And that's when the idea that started to kind of grow in my brain as maybe a way to give back to Portland.
After investing her life savings in the sports bra, Wynn made the money back within the first year of her business being open. Still thriving when we caught up with her last week.
Thank you.
It kind of opened the doors to what is possible. Because if we could change the narrative behind what's on TV in a place like a sports bar, where for 40 plus years, sports bars have been a certain way. And the sports bra turned all of that on its head with what I feel like are very minor changes, but minor changes that created a dramatic impact.
So much so, Reddit co-founder Alex Ohanian took notice.
Every bar I ever walked into was only showing exclusively men's sports.
Husband to tennis legend Serena Williams, Ohanian's 776 Foundation is backing Wynn to help franchise the business.
And I'm just looking for all the ways that we can reinforce and build.
In the first 24 hours of accepting applications, there were 150. Now, less than 3 months later, they've amassed 450 potential prospects.
We have a goal of opening 5 by the end of next year, and it's looking good.
The growth surrounding women's sports comes as no surprise to Haley Rosen, CEO of the multimedia company Just Women's Sports.
I feel like we've sort of hit a tipping point, and women's sports is here, it's happening, people get it, they're excited. And I think it's just the beginning.
That fervor paying dividends. The NWSL inked a record-setting 4-year media rights deal worth $240 million going into the 2024 season, which then saw record attendance and a 95% jump in viewership. And in July, the WNBA secured a monumental 11-year TV contract worth around $2.2 billion.
That kind of money that's being put into it, what does that say about women's sports?
It says that it's here and it's a big business and there's a real growing industry around it. And I think those are the smallest deals you will see probably ever in women's sports. There's just so much opportunity on the table, and it's sports bars, it's media, it's merchandising. There's a whole industry to be built, and I think that's really exciting and a really big opportunity.
If there's money to be made, someone will find a way.
Someone will find a way. Truly, everybody is watching women's sports. It's young boys, young girls, men, women, people who like sports are liking women's sports. It's sort of that simple.
You couldn't get to the numbers that they're seeing in viewership if you
It
didn't
was just
have it.
women, yeah. And I do think that's been a big misconception with all of this. Like, it's not just women watching women, it's sports fans, whoever they are, getting excited about awesome sports at the highest level.
Reason enough that even without a franchise opportunity, others are following in the sports bra's wake, with bars popping up around the country prioritizing women's sports. Rough and Tumble in Seattle, a bar of their own in Minnesota, and Denver's the 99ers among them, with a handful of others in the process of fundraising and building, including the Dub.
Oh, we're gonna have a local artist paint a mural on the wall, an ode to all things women's sports.
Brady and Glenn hope to open in early 2025.
You know, we want this to be a Kansas City place. Inclusivity is really our huge business model.
Be inclusive and a safe place for all fans.
There's no doubt Kansas City has the fan base, home to the NWSL's current and CPKC Stadium, the first ever built for a professional women's team. After selling out all the home games in the stadium's inaugural season this year, it's already shown if you build it, they will come.
At what point will you know that you've gotten the dub when it comes to this place?
Oh, wow.
If we can just look at each other and look it around and, you know, seats are full, TVs are on, women's sports, sound is on, and we can see that playing out, for me, that's it.
Absolutely. It's, you know, something that we've been working towards for a year now, but also something that has been deserved for so much longer than that.
And a big thing we found, like with the Dub, a lot of crowdfunding to raise money for this and personal investment in it. Banks catching up and catching on, and you obviously saw Alex Ohanian buying in. It's not going away. There are at least a dozen right now, and there will be more to come.
We hope so. And I have one, women's sports tagline, not just a lady bag. How about that?